How you doing?
Hello, good. How are you?
Good, good. How's the day? Crazy?
Actually, it's not too bad. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
it's not too bad around here. So,
No, no committee meetings or
no, we had committee week last week, so it was all meetings all day, and I took an afternoon where I didn't have all meetings all day today to get caught up on some things. So, you know how good you feel when you get caught up on stuff that's
yeah.
been in your on your to-do list forever. So I won't say I'm caught up. I will say I'm better than I was yesterday.
Okay, perfect.
So
And that's all you can ask for, actually.
that is
So,
that is hey, it's all
so,
good.
so let's. I got a bunch of questions for you.
All
Let's
righty, let's
let's get
get
at it.
started.
So we'll start off with the typical stuff, and then we'll end up with the positive stuff. So 28 days stay-at-home order. Burlington
Yes.
comes out in red.
It depends on what hospital capacity region wide is doing. So
Yeah.
Burlington has done extraordinarily well as our own city throughout the pandemic. And I just want to say thank you to all the residents out there, to all the businesses who've gone above and beyond to make sure their employees and their customers are safe. We have really, really done well throughout this pandemic. Our per capita infection and active case rates are lower than Halton and lower than just about anywhere else in the GTA, and that is still true today. That being said, so thank you. You all
Yeah.
deserve, yeah, all of you out there deserve a huge round of thanks from me. That being said, we are in the middle of a region that's on fire. And that means that collectively our hospital capacity is on fire and in demand because hospitals now, well, you probably saw the announcement last week from the premier. The situation is so dire that he has issued orders that people cannot refuse to be transferred if
Yeah.
their own local hospital is over capacity. It's you could be going anywhere. You could be going to Kingston. You could be going to wherever there is hospital capacity. That is how serious the situation is. And so because we are part of this region that is on fire, that of course hits us right here at home. So no one's getting out of lockdown until we get this situation under control. And you probably have seen the numbers the last few days. It's over 4,000 new cases.
Yeah.
This is and this is not at the peak yet. So it is very serious. It is very, very serious. And that's not a popular message a year into the pandemic, but we really, really need people to continue to do really two things. The first one is don't socialize ever with people outside your household. Just don't do it. And secondly, when you're out and about, and it's okay to leave your house. So stay at home doesn't mean stay inside. It
Yeah.
means you can go out for essentials. That includes going to parks, getting outside for some vitamin D and fresh air, but stay away from anybody that you don't live with. 6 feet away, that hockey stick. Bring a hockey stick if you have to. If we all just keep doing that,
Then people
then
start playing hockey.
you know what? That's not a bad thing. Like we will, at the request of certain neighborhoods, we've closed roads in the city of Burlington to allow hockey games to happen. We can't do that right now, of course,
Yeah.
because that prompts gathering. But just keep people need to keep your distance. Wear masks. Wear them outside if you're going to have a challenge with keeping your distance. So that would be playgrounds. And I was happy to see the other day kids at park, not all of them, but a good number of kids were masked up on a playground. So that's
Yeah.
good. People are trying to do the right thing.
So let me. We get in Halton gets a lot of complaints in regards to they're complaining to us because they think that we can do something about it. But I guess I can talk to you about it. I
You
mean,
can.
yeah. So Spencer Smith Park, everybody's like, it was packed. It's crazy. There's like no social distancing. Is anything happening? To I guess tell people to stay 6 feet apart or anything.
Well, we're talking about it right now. We do have signage in all of our parks. We do have bylaw officers that patrol, but the challenge that we've seen, and I'm not gonna name which parks, but we have had bylaw officers break up parties And 5 minutes after they move on to another park or another hotspot in the park, the party that they just broke up is right back together again. So there are small groups of people in the community that are absolutely persistent, and they'll just wait until our bylaw is gone and go right back to what they were doing before. So we have bylaw officers in parks. We have a new program that's our park ambassador program, where we have people going around to, just sort of eyes on the street, first of all. So if they see a problem emerging, they can call bylaw for reinforcements, but also to try and educate folks around, you might want to just move a little farther apart or wait until there's less crowded before, wait in line to use something. It's really around playgrounds that we see the bunching. I'm out at Spencer Smith Park in the Beachway a couple times a week, and for the most part, on my walks, and I'm in a hat and sunglasses, so some people still recognize me, but which is shocking, but a lot of people don't. So I'm just there kind of incognito, and for the most part, I have seen people in small groups that look like family.
Okay.
It's very small groups, separated from other small groups. So yes, lots of people. There's no limit on the number of people that can be in the park at one time if we all kind of show up separately, right? Randomly. There's no limit on that. The limit is on how close you can be to anybody who you don't live with, and that's 6 feet. So I also would caution people, be very careful about what you think you are observing. We have blended families where kids look the same age because it's two divorced families that have blended, and it looks like kids from the neighborhood playing together. We have racially blended families. We have adopted kids. So what you think might be a community free-for-all may still be a household gathering.
Mm.
The other thing I would say is, if you see a problem, the best thing to do is not to post a TikTok video or something on social. The best thing to do is call the COVID hotline, 905 825 4722, and get bylaw down there. Solve it in real time. It doesn't do any good to send me the video 3 days after it happened, because I can't solve that. And we do have our park ambassadors, and we do have our bylaw doing regular patrols right now. That is already happening. They are already out there. So they may not have been there the day that you looked, that 10 minutes in time where somebody took a video may not have seen. It doesn't mean they're not ever there. So I just want to provide that context for people.
I can't imagine how many messages, texts, and tweets that you get on a daily basis. Yeah.
Lots.
So.
And I would still say, and our numbers show it, I would still say that most of our residents are making the right choices, and most of the people who visit are making the right choices. True. And that is reflected in our active case rates and our new infection rates. So have a little grace and kindness with people, but if you do see a problem, please call the COVID hotline. That is the absolute, if you want to be the most helpful to your fellow citizens and to us that can do something about it, please call the COVID hotline in real time.
Okay. COVID hotline, sorry, is there a mobile app for that they could just message in, or no? Or no, is it a call?
It's a phone call.
Okay, sorry.
You're gonna actually have to talk on the phone.
I'm like,
I know we hardly ever talk on our phones,
yeah.
but it does have the ability to make a phone call,
I have a New Year's resolution, and I call people now. I don't message, I call. So sorry, can I just go back to these
Sure.
COVID parties? Like, do these guys get ticketed, or do they just get warned?
Absolutely. No, we're zero tolerance now. We figure that there's been enough messaging around keeping 6 feet apart, but sometimes our bylaw officers will observe, as other people have, a group of people together and find out it's one household, even though it may not look like that for all the reasons I've just explained. True. We don't know what people's households look like. We don't, and the other thing to remember is that people who live alone can select one other household to be part of. So even if you see different ages, it could still be well within the rules of the household. So make the right choice for yourself, encourage your family and friends to make the right choice, stay 6 feet apart, and call the COVID hotline. That is how you can be most helpful. And as soon as you're able, get vaccinated. Those are the things that our residents can do to be most helpful.
Let's talk about vaccinations. How is the vaccination rollout going in Burlington and Halton? Because it is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
It is like, and you guys don't have any hotspots per se in Burlington.
We do.
You do?
We have one. Well, Halton, I guess. It's
Halton, Milton, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
We
but
have
none in
one.
Burlington.
No.
Okay.
And just to give you order of magnitude, when you look at the highest neighborhood count in Burlington, and that's a number per 10,000 residents, I think is the metric. We're our highest is in the 200s. When you look at Milton, theirs is in the 500s. And when you look at the hotspots in Toronto and Peel, they're approaching 1,000. So the order of magnitude even is just, we're not even in the same ballpark as some of those other hotspots, again, because of all the great work that Burlington residents have been doing to keep themselves and others safe.
True.
So kudos, but our hospital is part of regional hospital capacity, and that's why we're going to continue to be locked down if our friends all around us are on fire with COVID, which they are.
Yeah, but I had Dr. Lowe on a couple hours ago. 20% positivity rate in Brampton. 20. It's crazy. Anyway, so I mean, yeah, you're right. Every neighbors are on fire.
Yeah, they are.
You want to bring him on?
Boston, come here, buddy. Please still quiet down if I'm just trying to figure out how to mute myself. I don't even know how right now. Sorry, we're just gonna have to listen to him.
That's fine. That's totally cool. It'll add character to the interview. So let's talk about the vaccine rollout. How is it going in Burlington?
It's going very well. So we are, I hear nothing but good. I hear overwhelmingly positive comments about the experience people are having at our 2 locations. So that's Joseph Brant Hospital Pandemic Response Unit and Compass Point or Bible Church. And, we get them in arms as fast as we get them delivered.
Yeah. Okay.
So we go through all the vaccines that we have, and typically appointments are booked in kind of 2-week tranches, because we know that that's when the supply comes in roughly in 2-week amounts, and then after that you don't know if you're going to get another shipment. So we don't want to book people beyond that if the supply isn't going to be there. So
everybody that has booked will get a vaccine. They won't be called back. The supply will be there.
That's what we understand, yes, unless there's some disaster that befalls the existing, that could happen, or unless they were to be redirected. That has happened once in Halton, where supply meant for us was redirected in part to hotspots. So we've fought against that, obviously, that the supply should be proportioned per capita, because we've all got at-risk populations across Ontario in different numbers. So there's obviously more supply should go to Toronto. There's more people there, for example. And now with the mobile clinics happening and the area code happening, so more vaccines will obviously go to those hotspots. But we have a share based on our at-risk populations that we need to get vaccinated, and so we want to make sure we hang on to the share that is apportioned to us, and that it doesn't ever get redirected. So good news. We're getting our share.
Okay, good. And who can get vaccinated right now at the mass vaccination clinics?
Well, it's all going to change on Friday. So let me talk, and the best way to find out about what's changing, some announcements have been made by Halton Region. The ages are going to change, but the essential workers are going to change, and it includes people that cannot work from home, that are in settings where they're at risk of higher exposure. So people like teachers, people like additional healthcare workers, transit drivers,
No matter the age?
no matter the age, first responders. So that
Oh,
whole essential workers category of folks in phase 2 is going to go live on Friday.
okay.
So
Is
all
that
of the
for
age,
Halton?
um, that is for Halton. I don't know. I think other municipalities are probably around that too. I just don't read their information as closely as ours.
We haven't heard
I
this. So.
just, yeah, no, that is what's coming. And that's been out for a while. That announcement in Halton region, that information has been out for a while in terms of ability to book your appointment.
Okay.
So the booking will start on Friday for essential workers, as well as additionally identified people with health risks, so immunocompromised. There's some categories. So the best place to look for whether you would qualify for booking an appointment is to go to halton.ca, and that information's all there. They've got a whole section right from the homepage of the Halton Region's website called who qualifies to get a vaccine in Halton. So just click that.
Okay.
There's lots and lots of information about when different groups, who's eligible now, as well as different groups. Plus, there are an additional number of pharmacies, so 12 as of the last day or two, 12 pharmacies in Burlington that are offering the AstraZeneca to 55 plus.
Okay.
So if you might fit in one or the other group.
A lot of people through the question thing that I do on Instagram beforehand ask when are 45 plus allowed to get vaccinated in the mass vaccination centers?
That'll be phase 3. So once we get through phase 2, and don't ask me
Yeah.
when that is, because it all depends on supply.
Okay.
Right? It depends on supply and uptake. And that's the other piece. If they start seeing a drop off in appointments, then they start to add new groups to make sure that they use the vaccine supply that they get. So we dropped, 5 years off the age group, almost every week, every couple of days, a new group was being eligible. So it was going very quickly. And then we had the interruption of supply, and, everything depends on supply. And nobody can tell you with any certainty what that's going to look like a month from now. We can only tell you what it looks like in the next couple of weeks, and the appointments that are available for those eligible people have already been booked, and
Yeah.
those vaccines have already been assigned. So we are waiting on new supply to continue to add new age groups.
I know Niagara Region Public Health last week did something interesting, and they pretty much went and did their own kind of, they broke protocol and started vaccinating education workers. Is this something that like Halton Public Health is opening to do? Because it sounds like it is kind of a little bit of a free-for-all when it comes to vaccinations, and the public health of each region knows kind of what's best. So I guess Halton Public Health, that I think I butchered that name, but anyways, are they willing to kind of just go out there and do it themselves and say, hey, we did it ourselves, what are you going to do, penalize us and give us less vaccines? Like, I mean.
So again, everything depends on supply. So you
Okay.
will know that, for example, in Halton, we got to the to younger ages sooner than province, because we had supply that wasn't taken up by the age, so we could open it up to new groups sooner than the province. So
Yeah.
if you have, and it all depends on your demographics, which are clearly different. In a community that has lots and lots of 85-year-olds, if that's the cutoff, you have to get through all those folks before you can drop your age. If you're in a community in a public health unit where everyone's a lot younger, and you get a per capita amount of vaccines, you'll get through your 85s quicker than other areas. You'll be able to do your lower age groups, and same with the essential workers. So as long as you're still following the provincial framework, as long as you're still, so we're in phase 2, as long as you are only vaccinating those folks identified in that phase, You can get to it sooner maybe than neighboring regions if you have your supply and you've just been able to vaccinate everyone ahead of the line uh, for those folks. So those decisions are made by public health about when to open up a new group, but we have been regularly advancing faster than the province on the age categories, and we'll continue to do that. All dependent on supply and demand. We need people to fill those appointments too. So, so if you're eligible, make sure you're booking an appointment and going in.
True. Okay. Schools are obviously shut down for the foreseeable future. Do you agree with this? And do you think schools will be closed for the rest of the year?
I hope they don't have to be.
Okay.
I know what a huge emotional toll this is taking on the young people, on the students, what an enormous toll this is taking on parents with children, whether those parents work at home and try to, juggle managing their kids while doing their job, or whether they work outside the home. And then what are they going to do with, especially with young kids that are school age, take a leave of absence? I mean, I can't even imagine how challenging and difficult this is for parents, for young people, for the teachers. The decision was made because our province is on fire. And this region is on fire, and we're about to hit capacity on ICU, and we're at a situation where doctors are going to have to potentially choose who gets to be saved. This is not where we want to be in Ontario. That's not fair to those people needing treatment. It's not fair to their families, or to have to realize that to get the care you need, the only bed is hours away from your home. This is the situation we're headed for if we don't get a grip. And so it was a very difficult decision. I understand it was a last resort decision because we are on fire. This is worse than the first two waves. True. What we are in right now is worse in terms of, you mentioned the positivity rate in Brampton. The daily new infections are higher than what we saw in December, higher than what we saw in the fall, and higher than what we saw a year ago at this time. It is very serious. And so that was why, the decision was made. And Burlington, even though our schools have been extremely well managed, and the limited number of outbreaks have typically been confined to a single classroom, it has been a very safe spot for our students. But we are part of a larger region that's on fire, and so we get drawn into that situation. Of course, the whole province right now is under lockdown, and there may be more serious measures coming. We don't know what's right around the corner if we don't get the collective, we as a province, as a country, get a handle on this. So we're not out of the woods yet, and I'm really hoping that people will do the right thing, and that we can also get, the biggest source of outbreaks has been workplaces where people have, that by their very nature, it's difficult to social distance.
Sure.
And congregate living, and we've handled the congregate living. So the strategy works. The vaccinations, the measures that we're taking, we're not seeing outbreaks. I looked yesterday. I haven't checked today's numbers yet, but yesterday there were zero outbreaks in Halton, zero. So that's not true of the whole region. So we're back to that conversation about hospital capacity, but the outbreaks are still in workplaces and congregate living settings. That's the biggest source. So we need to get those mobile clinics out there. We need to get people going into those large companies, the warehousing, the manufacturing, especially in Brampton, where there's so many essential workers in those kinds of conditions. That's why we're seeing the numbers that we're seeing. Yeah. So, hope is on the horizon, but this has gotten away from us, the collective us, faster than the solutions have been available, and faster than the vaccines have been available. So we're at a critical point.
Sure. Have you got the vaccine?
I have not. Excuse me. No, I haven't. No, not in an eligible category
okay.
yet. So, trust me, you'll know when I get it.
I'm sure it'll be on TV. Yeah.
I'll take a picture and share the news. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about there's, I guess, another application for a cannabis store in Burlington.
Yes, there
Um,
is.
so I guess one of the things is, when is enough for a cannabis store? Is that something like, you guys talk about and say, okay, guys, there's 100 here. It might be too much, so.
It's a good question, and I'd like people to separate their feelings about whether people should use cannabis or whether legalization of cannabis was the right decision. And maybe the best way to do it is compare it to, let's say, a nail salon or a hair salon. Would we be having a conversation about and tearing our hair out, metaphorically speaking? Oh no, there's another hair salon open. Oh no, we have, 50 places to get your nails done in Burlington. Would we be concerned? Of course not. Cannabis is a legal business, and I can tell you it is so heavily regulated. I have received this many complaints to my office. Zero.
Okay.
They're not selling underaged. They're not being broken into. They're not crime magnets. They are good neighbors. They are actually providing jobs to people in the community. They are stimulating economic development in our community, and they are taking vacant spaces during a pandemic that have been vacant in many cases for years.
True.
Years. They are turning empty retail plazas in our community into fixed up plazas that have stores in them now. And so I know that there are folks who are concerned about cannabis use. That's a whole different conversation. So in terms of these businesses, they are functioning perfectly legally. They are like I said, they are stimulating the economy. They are moving into vacant, underutilized, and frankly, eyesore plazas and fixing them up in our community. And as I said, I have received zero complaints from the community about any one of these businesses. So I hope people take the truth on that one. Look at what's actually happening rather than responding perhaps viscerally to the fact that maybe they don't like cannabis. And I say that I'm not a cannabis user. I've never been inside one of those stores. I'm curious to see what they're like on the inside, but I've never had a reason. They started opening just before the pandemic hit, so we don't do ribbon cuttings in person right now. I've not visited one. I've not been inside one. I'm not a user myself, so I'm not defending this for my own needs. I'm defending it as a principle. This is a legitimate business like any other in our community, and we do not limit the number of businesses that can be in any one location. We let the free market do that.
Sure.
So clearly there's demand for it here, but I think a lot of people come to Burlington because places all around us still have not allowed these stores to locate, but their loss is our gain. So.
Yeah, we about a year and a half ago we did a shoot at Burlington Cannabis Store, and I'm not a cannabis user at all either. But the mayor Bonnie Crombie thinks I am, but I'm not. But that one that we did,
a good word for you the next time I see you.
The one that we shot at video was the biggest one in Canada.
Realm, yeah.
Yeah, Realm.
Probably, I think that was the first one that was opened
in
Burlington. It's massive.
It's massive, and it was very well organized too. So.
Very, very nice. I've seen the pictures actually online of what it looks like, and I've seen a virtual tour online. Very nicely done. Some of them look like an Apple store. They're they're that fancy inside. And the thing, one of the reasons that I supported this as a business, in addition to everything that I've said already, is that it allows people who need or want or both this product to get it safely, to go in and make an educated decision in conversation with somebody. There's like, I'm told, dozens of different types of cannabis, right? And dozens of different, there's oils, there's There's seed and plant. I mean, there's different ways to take it. There's different strengths, and so it's almost like buying wine. And to be able to go into a store, know that that what you're getting has not been cut with something like it would on the street that might hurt you. Know the strength of what you're getting so you don't overdose. Be able to talk to somebody about why you want to use it, so that you can match the best product to your needs. You know, this is a service to our community. And I can tell you, when I was knocking on doors in 2018, unexpectedly, there were a lot of seniors. That was their second, after development downtown, which was the biggest issue. Their second question was, what did I think of cannabis? And my favorite story, I may have told you this before, is a lady, she was in her 80s or 90s, who put CBD oil on her salad as her salad dressing because that helped with her arthritis.
Interesting.
Who are we to judge?
Yeah.
Right? Who are we to judge? And it doesn't force her, by having stores, it doesn't force people to go online, have their information stored somewhere in the cloud, have their credit card stored somewhere in the cloud. They can go in anonymously, pay cash if they want, and keep it private to themselves. So for all of those reasons, I'm not worried by the number of applications that we've gotten. I can tell you that we, as a council, came up with our own set of guidelines. They don't have the force of law because the province doesn't give us that right. But we came up with our own set of guidelines around where they should be located, not too close to sensitive uses. We try not to cluster them all together as well, so separated from other areas. And a few other things in terms of where we thought they should be located. So once we said, yes, we'll take them, but here's our additional guidelines. And every time there's a new application, there's a commenting period for the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, which makes the final decision. Residents can weigh in on that. We always weigh in, and there's been only 2 out of close to 20 applications that have not met our guidelines. All the others have. So that's the context to have this conversation in.
I feel like smoking weed.
I'll see what kind of feedback I get in my Instagram message after this. But everything is fine in Burlington, and there's nothing to worry about with these stores. There really and truly is not.
So I know we're 2 minutes over, but I just want to speak about one positive thing. Sorry, that you're doing a women's speakers series. Tell us about that.
I am. So Women's Day, every year for International Women's Day, which of course is in March, I have hosted something. So last year I hosted some students when we could have students. It was just before the pandemic hit. And this year I did something virtual and had some amazing, inspiring women on my show to talk about living through the pandemic, because it has hit women harder than other sectors, low-paying jobs, burden of childcare, all of those reasons. But we're also key to the economic recovery. And so, you know, people were so inspired with our 1 hour sort of virtual chat that somebody asked a question, could we just not only do this once a year? Like, why should we only get inspired? Why can we only talk to each other? Like, there's so many amazing women. And so I undertook, based on that, request from my residents and from people that were on the call, to do this every month, to set up a speaker series where we can fill ourselves up with the inspiration in the community. And honestly, as soon as we decided to go ahead and then put a call out for names, we've got programs to infinity. There are so many amazing women in our community. So yeah, we're not just gonna do it on International Women's Day. We're gonna do it every month. So I'm very excited about that. I was just so inspired myself with these incredible women that were on the show, and looking at the list of speakers we've got coming, it's awesome.
That's awesome. And sorry, is that only open to speakers in Burlington?
Not necessarily, but yeah, I mean, we have quite a wealth of speakers in Burlington. But no, I mean, I think I'd be open to other inspirational. So if you have names or suggestions, let me know. We can do themed shows as well. So, but yeah, our focus right now is people who live or work We have lots of women entrepreneurs who've set up businesses here, so we talked to them as well. Some of them are both living and working in Burlington, but yeah,
That's an awesome initiative. So congratulations.
thank you. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So we'll end it there with a
Okay.
positive note. Sorry, it's 5 minutes over, but
No worries.
yeah.
I didn't even notice the time. We were having such a good chat about pot.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Thanks a lot, Khaled.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.